Breann McGregor.
And I'm sure you've also probably seen some side of your friends that you've never saw before. And you've thought, like, because over a period of time, people can't hold up a facade for so long. Their character will start to appear. I know that for myself, I've been able to say, wow, this people who I really enjoyed and loved having in my life, I'm realizing this person is not who I thought they were. And to be able to sit back and then to also validate my feeling and say, you know what, those feelings that I was feeling before that I was like, nah, I'm being, I'm just overthinking it. It's just me or something. I need to listen to myself. We have that intuition for a reason. And COVID only proved it, where I'm like, you know what, I am not wrong. And I don't owe them an explanation. It's just block, goodbye,
Right.
and I feel your true friends will understand. And those that don't, you don't need them in your life.
Right.
I mean, we're all on this journey together in life. We all came here the same way, and we're all going to be leaving the same way. And while we're here on earth, the best thing I believe that we should do is help one another to make this place on earth more enjoyable as we go to where we're all headed. It's not a race. There's plenty of opportunities out there for everyone. And I think one thing that a lot of people, especially in LA, is this competitiveness of, the better. It's got to be better. You got to be better. Meanwhile, the beauty of each and every single one of us is that we're all different. Like, what you are able to give and your talents are yours alone. No one else has what you have, and no one else is you. No one else has your heart, your thoughts, your background. And so same for me, same for any other person. And so when this competitiveness comes in, it's trivial. It's really, honestly, it's just not worth the energy, because at the end of the day, it's like, hey, I was going somewhere with that, but I lost my thought. But basically, I'm proud of you that you're able to say, hey, you know what? Can't hang out. I got to take me time, self-care.
Right.
That's a hard thing to do. I struggle with that. Since COVID, it's been a lot easier, because I don't leave the house, and I'm like, hey, look, you know me, I haven't left that, my mom's house for 7 months now. I mean, I've maybe left about 3 times to go get my hair done, and maybe gone to the beach about 3 times, let's say 5 times. That's being generous. Other than that, I just am too scared to leave. And and a lot of Florida is a little bit more laxed on the rules, where I know I'm pretty sure LA is a lot stricter when it comes to mask and stuff like that. But I'd like to know from you. And actually, did I cut you off? Because I'd like you to finish whatever it was. If you
no, I think I naturally came to a close on that, so I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. My other question for you is there anything that you have found yourself doing since COVID to keep yourself focused? And are there any new hobbies you've picked up, or a hobby that you've been doing but have really immersed yourself in that helped?
Yeah, of course. I think for me, so I'm a big tennis player, and I love playing tennis.
Okay.
And I was playing tennis before, and the tennis courts were closed for, the first part of the quarantine. And then I drove past one day, and I was like, well, yeah, all these people playing tennis? Wait a minute. Like, no way, I didn't get the memo. So I was like, I'm headed to the tennis court. And then once I got back on the tennis court, I was like, oh, okay, I can ride this quarantine out a little bit longer, because, I can play tennis now. Because that's one of my top 3 loves. It's acting, and then singing, and then tennis, or maybe
Singing.
acting, tennis. Yeah, I do lose some. I'm not at your level, but I do love
No,
to sing.
please sing me
Um,
something. You mind?
I'm sorry, say that again.
You want to sing me something?
Sing. Oh, right now. We're just ordinary people. We don't know which way to go. 'Cause you're ordinary people. Maybe we can take it slow. Little piece right there.
I love it. Oh my God, you're great. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Good for
Thank you.
you,
Thank you. Thank you.
man. That is,
Yeah.
you're so
Yeah. So
talented.
thank you so much. Yeah. So so tennis. So when I was back on the tennis court, I realized, okay, I could literally play tennis every day if I wanted to. But all the while, because like I said, the acting stuff didn't fully stop because of the voiceover piece. I was still working and like doing auditions. So I don't think I think my quarantine time was because I was an essential worker, with doing Girl Pub. I never really, felt like I had a bunch of just time on my hands. But when I had more time, I had more mental space. Now that is the big difference. I had more mental time on my hands, and that allowed me to kind of clear some things up and out of my life. But yeah, I really have been enjoying playing tennis, and that's been, and like knowing that, if I didn't have the acting piece, I would definitely find so much joy in just playing my tennis. Um, and and then I think around June is when we started doing events again for catering, and we were doing outdoor events where small numbers, and we had to have our mask on and stuff. So that was interesting because I wasn't expecting to go back to work so soon. And then it's like, hey, we have events. I'm like, oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. How many people are allowed when you're doing an event? How many people as far as your staff, and with the event going on, does it?
Yeah. So it changes by venue. So if it's outdoors, you whatever the capacity is of that venue is what you can have, since it's outdoors. And so that's been very interesting because you have people that like, our protocols are like, we as the staff, we have masks, we wear gloves the entire time. If we take them off, we take off the mask when we're not around other people, so we can take a moment to breathe and stuff. But you see because everyone feels differently about the whole, mask situation. Obviously, that's been very divisive in our country. But you're seeing people, when it comes to a wedding and, deciding to take on that risk of like, yeah, I'm taking on this risk of being here at this wedding. We check everyone's temperatures when they come in. So, that was interesting, just seeing how people were interacting, and you could see even amongst the people at the wedding, everyone felt differently about how much they wanted to socialize, or, and that sort of thing. And I think as time has gone on, people, I won't say people are over it, but people are, it's not as fresh on people's minds. And I think people have gotten a little desensitized to COVID because it's been around for so long. And so people are, taking on more risks because I think people have decided, like, you know what? Well, you had like your spring breakers that were like, I'm just living my life, and they were always going off the deep end, headed down to Miami to just, do that whole thing. But now as people, I think what we're stepping into is that you are now going to decide, if I do a social gathering, or if I'm going to, like when we start doing concerts again, if you're going to get COVID, I'd rather get COVID at a Beyonce concert than to get COVID, going to, a coffee shop,
Right.
that's where I, if I had to choose. Yeah, and there have been like these pop-up and certain, like they have these like drive-up music festival or music things where like you're in your car, and then the cars are kind of spaced apart, and so you can like step out of your car, be by your car while people are singing and stuff. So people are finding ways to make it work, and I think that's what we as I think it just as a country, we're really good at, at innovating and figuring out how we can still, live our lives.
Right.
Those that, because I've had friends now that they're, the big destination places. Like I have friends that are in like Wyoming right now. They decided to go there because it's nice open space and like no one's around. And so like all like the rural places are now like tourist destinations.
I was just reading about that today. A lot of people, because also due to the fires from LA,
right.
A lot of people are moving. Like Austin, a friend of mine lives in Austin. He's like, the prices are ridiculous now because everyone is moving here. Before it was, reasonable, but due to COVID and the restrictions placed in California and a majority, I would say, like San Francisco and Los Angeles, they are leaving now that there's a lot of jobs remote. They're like, hell, let's just, go somewhere open space. Some people are going to rural areas and
I had a friend that she works in New York, but she works remotely. And so she left New York and bought a house in Atlanta and has relocated to Atlanta because they said they're not going to be back into the office well into, 2021. So she was like, well, why am I here in New York paying all this rent when I could just, buy a house? And that's what she did.
Yeah, it's great for people to have that option, especially if, if the great thing is that if the business doesn't have to close and they're able to go remote, it's great because people get to keep their jobs, and that's great for the economy. There's not a lot of people that are given that opportunity. So I think that if it's something, if you're hurting monetary wise, to be able to say, hey, look, we don't need you at the office. We're going to keep you here on staff, work remote. If they're able to leave and save up and, create a better cushion for themselves before they relocate again. Because a lot of people, since COVID has started, have had to dip into their savings because the stipends or whatnot, and those that didn't get the checks, it's not enough, especially, for a family, and especially for places like Los Angeles and
I've had friends that where they signed up for unemployment, but there's so many people that still have not gotten the unemployment because they're so backlogged. I was fortunate enough that I was able to get unemployment, which has been a blessing and helping me to keep a roof over my head. But hearing about friends of mine that have not, and I'm just like, and a lot of them do thankfully have parents that can assist them and stuff. But I mean, that is tough. And and you talk about mental health, that piece is so rare because already the generations, below us and us have been dealing with, mental health because, the birth of social media. I just watched The Social Dilemma.
How did you like it?
It was very illuminating for sure. It made me, I mean, of course I can't delete my social media because I work in entertainment, but it did I was like, let me turn off some notifications, but just knowing how like, they're in this whole like, that we are the product, one of the things they said, like, if you are getting something for free, then know that you are the product. And so just so interesting. But like, that whole thing with like how social media has affected the mental health. And then now you're talking about like, when you take away the social, it's interesting that they call it social distancing, that you're taking away that social aspect from everybody. And so that creates, you're trying to cling to connection. And then you have this thing called social media that's meant to connect you, but you're not really, it has a false connection. And so it's just messing up a lot of people mentally. And I know that.
Oh, so, yeah. That's what I find really hard. I'm fortunate. I'm proud of the era that I grew up in. I feel really bad. I think that it's great that the technology that my niece will have or whatnot, but social media has created lots of disorders as far as BDD or FOMO or just like anxiety, because the young people don't realize that, and a lot of people don't realize that people will only post up the good. They're not going to post up the bad,
Of
so,
course, yeah.
and then on top of it, all these, the younger generation are looking at pictures and they're comparing themselves like with these filters. No one is really able to look at themselves in a phone and be like, oh my God, like I have to filter this up. And that's sad that it's come to it, it's just very vain.
Yeah.
And for children, and I'm talking young, 10, 9 years old, do I look fat? Does this like make me look a certain way? Or I need this product? It's that's sad. I mean, social media, there's so many great things for it that have come from it, but there's also, I find, a lot more negative. I think that as a community that we should find better ways, a way to make it a safer place. And hopefully we can remove these stigmas around stuff. And, a lot of, some people will post up a picture, say they're, I don't know where, let's just say I'm in Hawaii. Meanwhile, they're standing in front of a bush, like on the ground, and they, people, I mean, and I know this just from living in Los Angeles, that it's not what it always appears to be. I mean, we have, and it's the way we manipulate it, and then the way we market it. But you see, outside of that, others don't realize that, and so they're trying to attain something that's not real. And
exactly.
So
I tell people all the time, social media is fake. Like, because I didn't join Instagram until 2017.
What?
And so I had to because of my job. But I had spent a lot of time kind of studying my friends and seeing how they interact with it and that sort of thing. So when I got on there, I already had like photos that I was ready to post. And so I remember when I posted one of the photos, people were like, "Oh, when did we get in San Diego?" I'm like, that was from like 2 years ago. But you just now get to see it because I'm now on Instagram. So people, I remember like my actor friends, like, Gogo, you're working so much. Because I was like, I'm posting, jobs that I've done a long time ago. And so they equate it with, it happening right now. But I'm like, yeah, that's,
because, for your resume, you're using your social media to, as a platform. It's your resume, just like LinkedIn or whatnot.
Right, yeah.
It's your work. But
and so one thing about social media that I'm very aware of is that as we fight to be present-minded, social media keeps us in the past, whether it was 5 minutes ago or whether it was a week ago or from whenever someone had posted something. It keeps us inherently focused on the past, and that's why people are having so many mental breakdowns, is because they're anxious about what has already happened. And so this
you just mentioned that anxious. Keep going. I'm going to say something.
Yeah, and so it takes us out of that present moment, and so we're always trying to fight to every time you refresh the feed to get to something else, it's still just inherently putting you back in the past, and you're forgetting about the moment that's right in front of you. And so that is why for me, I'm so grateful that I don't have that like addiction. Like I'm not because some people with the whole likes and stuff. No, I post, like I asked my friend, because there's a thing about on Instagram where people don't like their own photo. They won't heart it themselves. And they say, well, if I post it, obviously I like it because I posted it. And I told my friends that I don't need anyone to validate me. I'm gonna like my photo first because I validate me. So I'm liking it first.
Right.
I'm party started now.
Yeah.
And that is empowering for me because I'm not waiting for someone else.
Right.
Like
you don't need their approval, or you don't have to go and check and refresh. Did they like it? Oh my God, they didn't like it. Does so-and-so not like me? Is there something wrong? Did I do something? That's
all those things.
Paranoia, right? I love how you mentioned, so My therapist said something to me: when you're living, if you feel anxiety, you're living in the past. If you are having emotions of fear, you're thinking about the future.
Yeah.
And when you're in the present moment, that is when neither of those are around you, and you are there in that moment, and you don't have the anxiety, and you're not having anything to fear. That's when you know you are in the present, because in the
Right.
present you don't have anxiety and you're not fearing anything, because we fear what we don't know,
Right.
and we're not supposed to know. It's going to come, because why worry about something that you're not even, who knows if you'll be, we don't know what's going to happen. No one expected COVID. Why are you going to worry about tomorrow? Be present today, because you don't
Right.
even
And
know if
all
you
you
will
have.
be given the gift to live tomorrow.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so I think that that's great that you mentioned that anxiety is definitely, um um, it does show you that, I've, until you pointed this out, I never thought of it, that when you're looking at it, it is 5 minutes ago, or someone's picture could be from so many years ago, and then
Yeah.
it is living in the past. It
Right.
really, it is, and then you look at other people's stuff, and like you said, you could have posted something from 5 years ago, and people are like, God, why am I not doing this? Like, what
Right.
am I doing wrong? Like, people are traveling and doing this, and it's just, social media, again, it's great in so many aspects, but it creates so mentally, it can
Right.
really, it takes a toll on you, and people, the trolling and stuff like that, that's, yeah, it's so easy to bully someone behind a computer screen or
Right.
whatnot. But I stay away from it, because I just feel I'm like a butterfly. I come in, I like a couple things, and then I'm like out of there. I'm so random. And
Yeah.
I do need to get back into it. But I needed a very much needed break from social media, because it was, even my phone. I mean, I'd leave my phone and my husband would find it somewhere, I'd be like, where's my phone? He's like, I have it. Here you go. You left it on the table or something, just because I felt like that's just so negative. Just get it away from me. I don't, but slowly but surely, because of sitting down and reflecting, I'm able to, approach when the anxiety comes up. I know how to okay, I've had enough. I need to set it down and let me go do something else. Whereas before, I
Yeah.
just would keep looking, and it'd just be building, 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 and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
gosh, this isn't like fair. And now it's not like that. I get on, and then it's like, all right, I need to take a break, so kind of thing. But and like you said, I understand, the both of us. It's work
Yeah.
related, and so it's part of your job. You have to post that up, and I'm really proud of you, and thank you so much for participating.